Testing, 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 testing. And welcome to Veterans Matter live stream broadcast, the first live stream broadcast strictly for veterans and active duty military in the tri-state, New Jersey, Delaware, and Pennsylvania areas. Veterans Matter is produced by Al Zentmeyer and Jerry Fournier and is an Intel Studios production. And now live from our studio in Northfield, New Jersey, your host, Veterans Advocate Mike Merlino. Good afternoon, and we welcome all of our audience, and it is our hope that today's broadcast will assist or enlighten you, and at the very least, let you know that there is help for you if needed. If you want friends to participate in our broadcast, they need to go to our website, veteransmatternj.com. That's veteransmatternj altogether.com. Click on the Our Show circle, and then click on subscribe. You can also go directly to YouTube, hit the search button, type in Intel Studios live stream, and scroll down the options until you see Veterans Matter. Our phone lines are available throughout the broadcast, and I'll let our audience know when we begin taking calls. The phone number is 609-798-4475, and please be patient as the calls are answered in the order they appear. Now let me introduce our guest today, our first guest, who is no stranger to Veterans Matter, on our show frequently, a United States Marine Corps and Vietnam veteran, 4-time Purple Heart recipient, Polo Smigliani. Marky, welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. We're looking forward to your questions. Thank you.
Another gentleman who I've met over the years, has been on our show a number of times. Also, a United States Army and Vietnam veteran, 2 tours in Vietnam, and has been spending his retirement years advocating for his fellow veterans. Let me introduce Don Ackerman. Don, welcome to Veterans Matter.
Mike, thank you very much for having me here. It's an honor just to be here and to talk to our veterans. I think we have to take care of them, and I have a number of things I'd like to throw out there.
Yeah, we're going to grab hold of all that because Don has been working vigorously over the years just to bring up to speed on how Don's from South Dakota. And I met Don originally during Memorial Day weekend about 10 years ago. Commander Bill Butler and I were doing interviews at the Vietnam Wall. And Don, I believe, Don, you were with the Rolling Thunder back then from South
Rolling
Dakota.
Thunder and the American Legion.
Yeah, and that blossomed into a relationship. Don actually made the trek when I was on the Stockton radio station. Actually was in D.C. and came up and did a show at Stockton. So I'm going to take before we get into the issues that are confronting our veterans today, I want to take Don back a bit because the people listening today wouldn't have any idea about Don's background. But Don, I want to take you back a number of years, and what was it that made you decide to go into the military?
Well, that's hard. It was a funny time in the world, and I was. My grandparents were raising me, and school was tough. I decided I'd go do something to make the world a better place. So I went to join the. Actually, I got in trouble at school. Went down to the recorder and walked in and said, I want to join the Air Force. And they said, go back to school and learn how to do something and come back and see us when you grow up. So then next step for me was the Marines. I walked in and said, I want to join the Marines. They looked at me and said, Don, go back to school and learn something and come in. So there was 2 doors left, Army and the Navy. I can walk to any woman, no matter how far away she was, but I can't swim very far. So I walked in the Army and I said, I want to join the Army. And that's how I got started.
So, Don, you ended up 2 tours of Vietnam. Did you volunteer for the second one?
Well, actually, I volunteered for both of them. First, when I joined, what do you do, kid? I was 17 years old, and I worked at a restaurant. I was a cook. They said, well, we're going to make you a cook. And I'm thinking, no, I've seen them guys on the line slopping that stuff, and I ain't getting that. What else do you do? I work on I ride motorcycles, and I work on them. And the guy looked at me and said, are those air cooled? I said, yeah. I got a job for you. It's helicopters. They're just like motorcycles. They're air cooled. And he put me in aviation. So I went home, got married, went home, going to go off and do the war. Expected I'd never come back. And like I said, my grandparents had raised me. So I do all the things I have to do, get on the airplane, fly up to California to get on the aircraft. And they said, oh, hold it, you can't go. I said, excuse me. Yeah, you can't go. Your grandfather contacted the governor of Arizona, and he contacted us, and you're a sole surviving son. You can't go. And I said, what? I mean, I left everything. You leave everything behind and say goodbye. I got to go. So I signed a paper to go the first time. Yeah. So the first time I flew for a year, and then I come home. Second time, I kind of volunteered. I took the big budget, the big cash, and they sent me back home. First tour was in gunships, flying. Second tour was fixing them. So yeah, it was. I got there. How many battle stars do you have?
Pardon me?
How many battle stars do you have?
A couple, that's all.
Yeah, well, I got 6. 2 tours and I got all 6. There's only 9, 7. Anyway. Yep.
Now, Don, in your bio, you earned 26 air medals as a UH-1 helicopter crew member while in Nam, awarded 6 RVN Battle Stars and an RVN Cross of Gallantry, as well as a Congressional Unit Citation. So, 2 tours in Vietnam, you come home. Did you have the horror stories when you came home like you hear so much about?
Unfortunately, some of us come home, yeah, rotten tomatoes at you, calling you names at the airport. When I got off the aircraft, this is the old days, I had my weapon that I captured, and I was bringing it home. And it was up in the front of the airplane, so when I got off, they gave it to me. So I walk out, and all of a sudden, a barrage of eggs, barrage of tomatoes. So I reached up. I don't know if you've seen a Chekhov. I reached up, flipped the bayonet out, and started across the field, 7 MPs grabbed me. So they got me into the airport, bought me a new uniform, and I went home. So yeah, it was not good. And that's probably the reason I did 20 years, because I didn't want to go home. It wasn't a nice place to be.
But that wasn't the end of your career with the Army. You ended up spending 20 years in the military, correct?
Yes, I did. I did a lot of interesting things. I got broke, and we'll talk about that a little bit later as I went along. Lost my hearing, so I couldn't fly anymore. So they decided that since I couldn't hear, that they would make me an artillery surveyor. So that's the guy that's downrange where the bullets are coming in. You don't need to hear anyway. Over 5, up 6. You know what to do. It's a true story. So that's what they did. And but that eluded into a great career, even though I was always at the level where I could train soldiers. And I could always teach them to be safe and take care of themselves. So it was important to me. I controlled nuclear warheads. I don't know if some of you guys out there remember when General Dozer got captured by the Italians. I was the guy that took the call. So I was there for 2 days after that. But there were so many interesting things I got to do because of the level I was in. It was a great career, but at one point you just say, hey, time to go. So I quit.
You know, Don, one thing interesting, you went into the military during the Nixon administration. You came out during the Reagan administration. Two great American presidents that you were able to serve under. Marco, you also went in under President Nixon, didn't you?
Lyndon Johnson.
That early.
69, yep.
You also, right, under...
67. He's a mere child.
Okay. So, what was it like, Don, serving under Reagan?
It was a breath of fresh air. I'm just going to tell you, it was a breath of fresh air. Probably the big reason, and you'll be able to relate to this, Carter let the draft dodgers come home. I can't think of anything that hurt more than anything that he let the draft dodgers come home. And it was hard to serve under. Reagan come along, it was good again. It was a nice place to be. It was comfortable. He took care of us. He took care of his veterans. He tried to. He did good things.
You know, Marco's story is a phenomenal one that we've heard a number of times at different places. I get to see Marco at a lot of veterans events, and Marco was born in Italy, came over here to this country, and served in the Merchant Marines first. And, you know, Marco, both you guys, Vietnam vets, served your country. So what is it, Marco, that makes you guys 50 to 60 years after your service want to be out there and advocate for your fellow veterans? What is it that does that for you?
I'll go first.
Either of you can answer that.
It's a great country. 2% of this country keeps this country free, and that's us. The kids out there that are serving our country, things change. You just mentioned different eras, different times, different stuff. I don't know if I could take it as hard as they have it now, okay, because it's crazy. It was pretty straight when you and I were in, but it's crazy now. And I don't know how those kids, first off, the draft's gone. I lived through the draft. And yeah, it was fun when the draft went away because I got to keep leading along. That was fun. But I don't know how these kids do that, and I want to be here for those kids because I want a free country, and it can go away tomorrow. Reagan said that. One generation away from not being free, and it is only 53 miles to Russia. Okay, we have got to protect our nation, and if we don't go out there and take care of these kids, why would I want to serve? We take away their benefits. We take away what's nice for them, what's comfortable, the reason to stay, the reason you and I stayed. Take all those things away from them, and who is going to go out there and stand on the line and take those bullets? because that's what you got to do.
You know, what's amazing to me, when you look back at the history of the Vietnam veteran, it was, see, the war ended officially in 1975. We left Vietnam, and it took 16 years for them to form the Agent Orange Act, and then been a fight since then. And you look at the Army, the Navy, the Marines, the Air Force, Coast Guard today, and you wonder, with all the problems connected to our Vietnam vets, how do we manage to maintain the greatest military in the world, and it's all volunteer, even with what you guys went through? And what saddens me when I look, because I happen to belong to an organization with men and women that have served from Desert Storm to today, you just have a feeling that what they're going to go through may match what you guys did. Yeah, you know, now the fight that you've done has made it a lot easier on our men and women today. But I got a funny feeling about the burn pit registry. I just wonder if they're going to be taken care of.
Well, the legacy, in my opinion, the legacy that the Vietnam veterans are leaving behind is to make sure we were not treated the way we were treated. And even we were not accepted when we came home from the World War II vets. Then eventually they accepted us, and they benefited so much because they had all kinds of problems, the World War II guys. And it's because of the efforts of the Vietnam veterans in Washington and on the streets and politically in the schools and everything that we changed, that now all of these things are out there for the veterans, okay? It'll always be a struggle because America doesn't look at veterans. When they need you, you're the hero. Then afterwards, you're like yesterday's trash, unfortunately. Everything is more important than veterans. People don't know that there's 0.4% serving our nation right now. Not even 0.5% of Americans are serving our country in the armed forces. So unless your family, your brother, your son, or something, you think these kids, these other people know what's going on, don't care? No. So that's the problem. But we made sure, this is our legacy, that we will not accept what was happening to us. Now, you know me a long time. We've known each other over a quarter century. I'm a pretty easygoing guy. I never got in so many fist fights that when I came back from Vietnam, because I wasn't going to tolerate that from anybody. It just. But again, on the positive side, we have accomplished much. We still have a long way to go, but we have accomplished much.
And on that, I didn't have fist fights. I usually use stick. Anyway, you're a big guy. I'm okay. But on that, something most people don't think about when you talk about the Vietnam veterans and our 9/11 veterans, and it's in my little speech here, so we'll skip by that when I get to it. But we lost friends. We watched people go and die. We fought for the right reason. We had people that trusted us and worked with us in that country that were local to those people. We had all that. We come back home, and they took away our victory. That is the most important thing for me that happened. The eggs, the tomatoes, the bad names, that's fine. They took away my victory, and they took away the victory for all those people that died. We just did the same thing to those Gulf people. If you don't realize how hard and how much that's going to affect them, I promise you, I know how hard it is, and I know how much it's going to affect them. That we must be ready for, because these young kids, sorry guys, you're young, I'm old, these young kids need what we make sure they're going to be there for them. That is my torch. That's why I'm here, and that's what we need to live for. And it's the nature of the beast, and that's okay. It's okay. It's the nature of the beast. I'm not blaming the government. They do what they need to do. But the soldier does what he's told to do, and he believes in his heart. When we went, We believed in our heart we were doing the right thing. You know, when those guys laid down their life, they believed in their heart they were doing the right thing. You know, so
Well,
yeah.
you know, they talk about World War II veterans, the greatest generation, and they were. There's 16 million of them that came home. It was a whole different war. The American people were all behind them. Everybody, every neighbor had somebody over there. Plus, the culture in America, this was a different world. They went through a depression. They were hard people. These were tough people, okay? But I want to make the distinction. I admire, and you know, I work with them for years and years, the World War II guys. I love them, they love me. But in my opinion, again, every generation that serves, regardless where or when, you know, they're the greatest generation of that time. Because the commitment, Don just said, that we're not into politics. They tell us to go to South America. They tell us to go to Africa. We just go. We are there to serve our nation at their behest. We leave our mothers, our fathers, our children, our husbands and wives, not because the women are serving. Go anywhere in the world, and we serve as long as they want us, and we are willing to die and kill for our country. Who else makes that kind of commitment? That's the kind of commitment that Don's talking about. It's very painful. It's very personal. Then you come home, and you have to fight for all of this. You know that I still have a projectile in my arm, okay? They still don't recognize it. It's not the damn money, the $50. It's the idea that I know what happened that day. You know what I mean? I almost lost my life. But, you know, that's how it is. And today, the young people, and not just the young people, even all of these people, they just have no idea how fortunate they are. You know, a lot of times when I go to schools and make speeches, I tell them that they hit the lottery. They say, no, I hit the lottery. Yes, you did. You were born in America. Now, as you know me. You've known me for a long time. I was born in Italy right after the war. Everybody, my grandfather was the first civilian killed. That's my father in Tobruk, Africa. My family were, all the women, all black, because my uncle, my grandfather, they were all killed. There was about 8 or 9 that were killed in World War II. So I grew up, there was bombs in our village. It was devastated because that's the war, the winter line of 43 was there. So I came from a war, and then when I came to America, I was 10 years old, and I loved America. In America, I could tell. At that time, when I was in the Merchant Marine, I had employment deferment. I didn't have to go into service. I was making almost $800 a month. He'll tell you, that was a lot of money then. That's the girls in Hong Kong, Singapore. They loved me. But, you know, even at that young age, at 17, 18 years old, you know, knowing my father, my grandfather, both were wounded in World War I, and I was going to live in this country, America. You know, this was going to be spend my life here. That I had a responsibility. I had that sense of not just patriotism, but something, you know, you got to give back. You can't just, you come to America and you take. What are you going to give back to your country? So I quit the Merchant Marine, where I was making $800 a month, and I was back in Vietnam as a machine gunner 6 months later, making $123 a month with combat pay. But you know what? That was my greatest hour, my greatest, you know, the most defining moment of my life when I served. I was only there a short time, but I was wounded 4 times, 5 times in 11 days. But now I can sit here, I don't care if it's a president, I can look down at him. Because Abraham Lincoln said, and I'm paraphrasing, that's exactly 100% right, that a warrior in the field of battle does more for his nation than a politician does in a lifetime. And I really believe that. Okay? No, I'm not being, you know, so,
I agree with that,
and then
100%.
why do we continue to do this was the original question. Is because we know how fortunate we are. We put in blood and guts, I mean, our life. 847 of my fellow Marines are on the wall in Washington right now. 847. My Uncle Dominic, who was born in Italy, 3 tours. He was killed 2 months before he was to come home. So this stuff is very personal, very visual to me. America is the greatest thing that ever happened to me. I've been a pit boss. I had a restaurant. I had a jitney. I was a deputy sheriff. I mean, where else but America with a 7th grade education? You have these opportunities. Only in America. Wake up, America, before you lose it. As Don said, every generation has this responsibility.
You know, I didn't serve, but you know.
Stop right there. Okay, stop right there. I'm going to interrupt you. I'm sorry. You know, I admire people. I tell it, not just you, other people that are doing this as veterans advocate, helping out. You know, you're not a veteran, but yet you take the time, the energy, the resources, and I know all the whole background. We're going to get into that, what you've done for veterans. So I admire you even more than a veteran, because you didn't even serve, and yet,
You know,
very few of us have the privilege to serve our nation in the field of battle. But all of us are responsible to serve our country. You are serving our country just in a different way.
and I said it so many times. People say, well, why do you do it? What's the motivation? Well, the motivation is that I have 8 children and 15 grandchildren, and every
That's
single
a real
one of
greaseball.
us, we get to enjoy every freedom and liberty this
absolutely.
country offers because of the sacrifices that you guys made. And I would just know, my dad was a decorated World War II veteran. I lost 2 uncles in World War II. My brother's a Vietnam vet. And there's just nothing I can ever do to make up for the sacrifices that all of you have made.
Michael, that's exactly every American should feel. Sadly, very sadly, they have no conception of freedom. They think everybody in the world lives the way we do. When I was in the Merchant Marine, I hit places like Calcutta, India, Bangladesh, Mali, Africa. I was lucky if I went back to my ship with my underwear. I gave everything away. 15, 20 of them, they're following you. Their mothers and fathers will tie their arms to cripple them so they can live longer as beggars. I mean, people have no idea how fortunate we are to live in this nation.
I understand.
And the
I
freedoms
really
you
do.
take. Here's Don. He comes from North Dakota, gets on his motorcycle, goes where he wants. Nobody asks him, let me see your ID. I mean, you know what that means, how fortunate we are? My God. You got a call? No. Okay, go ahead.
I just want to play this. Whenever I have Vietnam veterans on the show, I just
All right.
like to do this. Go ahead.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Give him
Tribute to my Vietnam
Give him some medicine.
veteran.
Will you give him some medicine?
You know, back in the old days when we were doing a radio show, we used to have a special segment every week just on Vietnam because we were there for almost
61 to
15 years.
73, actually. Everybody thinks 75, but we were
what's
out of there in 1973.
What's amazing to me, there's 58,000 plus names on the wall in
267
D.C.
names, yeah.
Yet I think the figure today is over 600,000 Vietnam veterans have lost their life attributed to Agent Orange. And that's why today's show we've dedicated to what's happening today with our Vietnam veterans. And, 10 years ago, Marco, we were in a situation here in New Jersey where our World War II veterans, our Korean veterans, were driving 90 miles on a bus to Philly or to Wilmington given a bottle because there's no toilet facilities. And then I met Don in D.C., and I realized that not every place is the same. That Don, you guys were driving 4 hours to a VA facility from where Don's from South Dakota, right?
And they just they're trying to change that to 6 hours or more just to go to a VA. Okay. And yes, you're right. It's not the same everywhere. The need is everywhere. Okay, and you know that. We come from across the world, the veterans do, and across the United States. And they're all in different locations. And they need help. And we can't close what we got.
All right, we're going to get into, Don, your situation there. I just want to say that here in South Jersey, because of the we've been able to work with our Veterans Advisory Boards, with the Congressman Lebiondo when he was in office, and his liaison, Mike Francis. Today we have Congressman Van Drew and his liaison, Chris Chin. I'm working with our senators and our assemblymen, the state senators. We've made some headway here that we've come a long way. I can remember we didn't have a clinic here when I started the radio show.
We were in Ventnor, which is a couple miles from here. We had 2,800 square feet. Then we came here. It took us 10 years, 11,002. And I says, wow, all our problems are over. For the next 5, 6 years, we had the same services in a 28. It was empty. Then the tragedy of Mr. Ingram, as I call it, that changed everything.
We had a United States Navy veteran that could not get access to what he needed, and he set himself on fire on the lawn of the VA clinic here. And it's really working. Marco worked closely with these people to make the changes that are happening now with a facility that over 30-some thousand.
We had an angel, and his name was Dr. Michael Edelman. He was the Visit for director. He's the one. Without him, we wouldn't have the Violent, we wouldn't have the Rio Grande, and we wouldn't be moving. He is the one. He used to come every month here, and we have a meeting. And that list I gave you, Don, all those people I would have from the governor's office down to the assembly, the freeholders or the commissioners they call them now, and we're all working together. But Dr. Michael Edelman, the Visit for director, he's the one that would listen to. For the first time in 20, 30 years, we had a partner on the table. He would contradict the director, say, no, wait a minute, we're not going to do that. This is what's best for the veterans.
Amazing.
I was, my teeth almost fell out.
You know, just let me, for those of you out there listening, Don comes from South Dakota in the Hot Springs area. And if you're not familiar with Hot Springs, it's about 30 miles south of Sturgis. All the guys, the bikers out there know where Sturgis is. So Don's out there. I remember driving around the country back in 2007, and the hills there, the Black Hills, the South Dakota, it was quite...
Definitely hills around here. Huh?
There's a lot of distance between facilities. And Don, your story out there is unbelievable because you actually lost a facility, correct? Give us some background what you went through out there.
Basically, and I'm not going to go into what the note says. Basically what happened was I was asked, I was working with the American Legion.
Mm-hmm.
I was in American Legion Riders, and the national commander of the auxiliary said, hey, I heard a rumor they're going to close this facility. Okay. So I haven't got a lot of brains. I walked in, knocked on the door, walked into the vision director, or the director of the 3 facilities we have there, said, hey, what's the deal? That's not quite how I do it. I did it nicely. And he said, it's all rumor, not happening. So I left and I went and I explained to her, it's not closing. 2 days later, there was an announcement in the newspaper that they were closing the facility.
This was a hospital.
Which was, okay, and not just a hospital. Okay, this was the first VA in the nation.
Wow.
Okay, this was the #1 facility that was ever built. It was built as a sanitarium for the veterans, and there's a whole history on it. But the issue is, this facility also had not only a full-service hospital, but it also had a domiciliary beside it that could handle up to 300 veterans who were in need of PTSD, drug and alcohol, traumatic brain injuries,
Full
the
service.
whole spectrum, and fix them. They were so co-located. And they said, oh, we're going to close it. Now, this is a facility that was making money. Okay, it wasn't like it was losing money. It was busy. So we started the battle in 2011. I fought like a dog. They cheated. They lied. They put in false information. They went as far as to have an agency, one of these fat gathering agencies. They went out and hired one, and they paid them $750,000 to do this report. So when they got it done, they didn't want to put their name on it because the report was slighted so bad that they subcontracted to another organization, so their name went on. And that information is today in the book of records for the Senate, and everybody knows it's a lied report. We fought, and in 2020, thank heaven for, first of all, the greatest governor in the United States. Sorry, mine's better than yours. Kristi Noem.
Everybody's better than ours. Well, go ahead.
Kristi Noem, who was then a representative, and the first person to come on board and help me fight. Kristi Noem did that, and as governor, she does so much more. We have the greatest senator, John Thune, and Mike Rounds. Okay, you're talking about your team.
Yeah.
We got a hell of a team in South Dakota, and we have Dusty Johnson. He's on board, and all these people are fighting, and they helped us save the VA. The Secretary of the VA sat across the table from me and said, "We will not close that facility." That was on the 2nd of March, 2020. Now, and we were going to build it back up. They didn't. They continued to tear it apart. Fast forward to 2022, Mission Act. We're going to close that facility, and we're going to close all the other facilities in South Dakota because they're underutilized. False data, false information, and or created information. The battle's on. The battle's on. I won, but now I've lost. Not only did we lose there, we lost the other one. But now I do have, like you, a team that's going to do. I told you before, I testified twice in Congress. I don't have to testify now because I have Mike Rounds. He's on the Veterans Appropriations Committee. And his quote, publicly and to me, was, "The Mission Act will never, ever get past Veterans Appropriations." Now, for a congressman to stand up and make that kind of stand, you know, that he is not going to do anything the president tells him to do because he's got that much support. Your guys here need to find out who Mike Rounds is, and your guys get behind him. Your congressional guys, really. If you can do that. Everybody out there, all those guys, because they're trying to save him. And nobody understands the Mission Act, and that's what we were talking about earlier.
See,
Let me regress for a moment, if I can. You have Public Law 104 to the Constitution. I mean, to the the 34th Constitutional Amendment. That was the one that said we need VAs. We need a place for our veterans to go to. That's when, in 1964, that they began to push veterans away. And what they said was, and you know how they slide stuff, what they said was, we have so many World War II veterans, so many Korean veterans, and now these new Vietnam veterans coming in who are very much in need of health care. And we don't have enough facilities and enough people to take care of them. So we need this act to do that and to build, and they put all those fancy words in there, and to build new facilities and to do this, and they passed the act. But what they did was, bottom line, it used to be if you had DD 214, you could go in, period. And they changed that to what we have to deal with, you dealt with, I dealt with. You have to have a disability that's service connected and or not have any money and or, and there's a whole bunch of and ors. And there's 10,000 people in the VA whose only job is to make sure you don't get in.
yeah, you know, you have the advantage because you have all those powerful people with you. You said the governor, a couple of senators, Congress. Excuse me. What is the population of South Dakota? By any idea?
That's about 40 of us.
Huh? No, what is it? Like is it
I
a
think
million and a
it's-
half, 2 million? I don't even know because I know it's got a small population.
It's
But the analogy I was going to make is we have in South Jersey, we have in the state of New Jersey 9 million people. However, in South Jersey, this county only has 270,000 people. You say, what the hell does that mean? Well, what it means is we don't have the representation. We don't have the power. And our governor right now, I don't care if it will like it or not, he took 2.3 million from the veterans. They gave it to illegal immigrants.
yeah.
Okay, so this kind of stuff is going on. So we don't have, so we have to fight really. I mean, we're in really on a fight every single day here.
Every single one of us.
Yeah. So
All the states. We now, we have a start. Okay? And that's why I'm here today. And you're bigger than these states because there's people out there listening across. I made that happen. The issue is we all need to get together and say, hey, it ain't right. If you have a DD 214, you need to be able to use the VA because the Mission Act says they're not using the facilities. So out the left side of the face, they're saying we need to respect who's using the VA because we only have so much stuff. Out of the right side of the face, now they're saying, well, nobody's using the facilities, so now we need to cut them down. And they're cheating on the numbers. They're doing all the bad stuff that I know how to track because of the Freedom from Machine Act. The point is, we all need to say, stop. Kill the 104. And I'm going to give you my email. Everybody out there, you got a pencil?
I'm sure he'll got it.
Okay.
Got your card right here.
Here you go. My last name, Ackerman, Alpha, Charlie, Kilo, Echo, Romeo, Mike, Alpha, November, @ Golf, Whiskey, Tango, Charlie, dot, November, Echo, Tango. Now, not that way. Ackerman, ACKERMAN, GWTC.net. I can give you all this information you need. Point is, we all need to get everybody we can on board and making this fight for that very small percentage. Now, the guys that can make this happen are on the other end of this as I'm talking. I'm doing my part. I need all of you guys to stand up. I need all of you guys to do your job for the other veterans, not you, for the veterans behind you, because they need it. And we need to get those facilities open to everybody. They shouldn't have to go in and cry and weep and pretend like they, have to admit things they don't want to admit to try to get in and see the VA.
Well, I hate to tell you this, but I'm going to pick on my own fellow veterans. I think I earned it right. The biggest problem with the veterans is the veterans themselves.
Yes.
Okay? Because I've been doing this for 22 years, and Michael will tell you, you're going to see the same 7 guys that have been working with me, or 10 guys, 20 guys, okay? Just in the state of New Jersey, we have over 405,000 veterans. Mike, when you see us at these things, what do you see? The same 8 guys. Okay, this is the problem. There's 21 million of us in America. If it was up to me, I'd get rid of all VFW, DV, one branch. American veterans, the one flag, and that's it. But it's not their fault that they're being abused or, forgotten, and we have to fight. So, but then they just go away. And you have to realize the Vietnam veterans, a lot of them have been beat up so bad, they don't want to hear any of this stuff. They just went about their life. And just a few minutes ago, you talk about statistics. The sad part is from 1961 to 1973, we were in Vietnam. There were 2,900,000 of us actually in the country of Vietnam, like Don and I were. Out of that 2,900,000, there's only about 750,000 of us, 800,000 left. 2 out of 3 have died. Agent Orange, the biggest culprit, drugs and sickness and other stuff, But where were they? You know what I mean? It was, there's a percentage of Vietnam veterans that are really zealots, like maybe Don, myself, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of work has been done, but you can never stop. You must continue. Like these people say, well, we don't need the VA, we don't need that, just give them a card. What the hell are you going to do with that card if they don't fund it? At least right now you have the House of Representatives and you have the Senate. They have the committees that are supporting the veterans for self-interest or whatever, but they're there. So it's important that you have representation. You have to work with your representatives, otherwise you're not going to get anywhere. I learned that. It's very, very important. I worked with Lobionda for 24 years. I'm working with Andrew. I work with everybody. I tell them I'm not Democrat or Republican or independent. This is a veterans cause. I tell them that's the first thing that comes out of my mouth. So we have some successes. Are we where we should be? No. but we made a lot of progress here.
And to that, when I started, I was nobody. In 2011, I had nobody on my team. Nobody. I'm telling you guys out there and you girls, you need to speak up because you'll be so surprised how attentive your leadership is if you talk to them, if you tell them what your problems are. Don't accept, don't accept what they tell you. If you go to the VA and you talk to them about something, what they're going to tell you is it's complicated. Okay, and what that means is, hang on, I got to lie to you. I got to figure out how I can lie to you about this. It's not complicated. It's simple.
Don, let me ask you a question. Do you have a VA hospital in South Dakota?
We have 3.
And I imagine one's around Rapid City.
We have one. Okay, no. We
Yeah.
only have a clinic in Rapid City, and that's the interesting factor. Cities grow differently than out here.
Right.
You guys basically,
Yeah, we're
you're running out of room.
Philly and New York kind
You
of.
run out of room, But out there, Rapid City at one time was only a place that we call it a hay stop. Okay, that's where all the hay was, and they'd stop and pick up the hay. But then they put an interstate through there, and the whole world changed. So
Right.
for us, a lot of things changed, and we got a big hospital, full hospital in Sioux Falls, which, thank you, senators, they just fired that person that was in charge of that one. And we have one in Sturgis, which you know well. Of course, we can't use it for 2 months because all these bikers on the damn road, they get in the way. And then we have the one in Hot Springs. And that in there lies the problem that we don't have that many. And the C-Box, which we talked about earlier, try to get out there, they just don't work for us. They work for you, and that's good.
How many veterans do you have in the state of South
You'd be
Dakota?
surprised, we have more veterans
Per square,
percentage-wise than most of the states in Europe.
And what number is that,
I can't give you.
Okay,
the
yeah,
number.
because we have 400,000 in the state of New Jersey.
Yeah,
But
I bet we
out of
have
9
at
million
least-
though, so, it's,
I think we have double that.
You know, what the politicians were real cute here in New Jersey. We have actually just one VA hospital in New Jersey. It's up in Orange, Lions VA hospital. What they did was South Jersey. If you knew the line that's drawn, South Jersey has more veterans than New Jersey, North Jersey. But what they did is they went to Ocean County, which is the largest veteran population in the state,
Yeah.
and moved it to the north.
it's over
So we wouldn't
100,000.
qualify down here for a hospital. So that's why we were going to Philly and Wilmington. And, let me ask you something, Don, because one guy texted me here. And I do want to say our phone lines are open, 609-798-4475, in case anybody wants to tune in here and has a question or just wants to add to the show. Back when Congressman LaBiunda was in office, and we're going to maybe 4 years ago, do you have community care out there for, can you go to any doctor?
That's
Do
what
they
you're right.
accept VA?
Okay, let's qualify. Okay, I'm going to qualify Vision 23. That's what we're under, which is under Minnesota and the other area. First off, do they have it? Yes, they do. Now, do you have any idea what they pay?
No.
Okay, you go in to get glasses, and your insurance will pay them $10,000 for you to get your glasses. If you go in as a veteran to get glasses, same everything, they'll pay them $350. That's it. Okay, so you tell me who goes first
Right.
in line. Okay, that's number one. Number two, most of the small hospitals cannot afford losing that much money. I'm going to give you. I like to give you a true example. Okay, I have an 80-year-old female nurse who can stand and look at the VA. She can see the roof from her house. She walked out, fell down, and shattered her left shoulder. and her arm. 80-year-old girl. Ambulance shows up. She said, take me to the VA. They said, we can't take you there. The VA will not allow an ambulance to come on the facility. That's a fact. I'm not making this up. They will not allow anybody to, this is a full service hospital. It's supposed to be. Okay? It has all the rooms, has all the stuff, just not, they pulled all the people off. You cannot go there. So they took her to the local hospital, which is new. They gave her a sling and a bottle of drugs she couldn't drink because she was allergic to them. She told them that. And said, go see your health care provider. 5 days later, 5 days later, excruciating pain, another nurse by her side that she knew from Vietnam, trying to get her through. She was finally able to get her provider to come down from Sturgis to Hot Springs to see her. She went in, the doctor looked at her and says, oh, by the way, your shoulder's shattered, your arm's broke, you're going to need some medical stuff. Let me set you up. So he set her up to be taken care of. 4 days later. So he said, look, let me give you a shot. He gave her a shot that took away the pain. That was something she could handle. He said, look, if it hurts tomorrow, come in and get another shot. The next day, in pain, she called, and the VA told her, we're sorry, we have no way to give you a shot. 9 days before this veteran, female, 80 years old, was allowed to be taken care of. And that is the VA care that they're trying to give us right now. So yeah, it's out there. It's out there. But you know what? It's like, if you're going to commit suicide, call me. Excuse me? Think that works?
Well, you know, it's fun. Our congressman here, Labiondo, when he was congressman, he got the top 4 healthcare providers in our area to work with the VA. You know, Marco's looking at me like I'm just giving you information that's been said to me, and it's not perfect, but our VA outreach specialists are making it work to an extent.
Yeah, Dr. Edelman made that stuff happen. He forced them because you had to go for a colonoscopy. You took the medicine, then you got to get in a bus and drive 2 hours. Like you,
I had to go 80 miles.
yeah, I understand. Like I said, we've been down that road, and you know the horrible story you just said. We have 1 million of them down here because we were forgotten down here. Now you know we're doing a little bit better, you know, but. Right now, there's a great doctor over here. Her name is Dr. Kern. Okay, she's probably one of the most dedicated individual, young lady, has 4 children, beautiful, perfect. She wants to do the right thing. She has over 1,200 patients. Now, you divide the hours she works by the patient. What's it going to give you, 30 seconds? So I got to pay $450 a month for my Medicare and my supplement because I can't use the VA. I mean, I got a lot of problems. But that's the reality, unfortunately.
Now, you realize that when you go to the VA and you get service, they charge your health care.
Yes. Yeah.
So they get paid anyway. You understand that. And most people out there don't realize that. If the door is open in the VA and I walk in and I have TRICARE and I have anything else, they bill them. So they're getting double paid. They're getting paid to take care of me anyway. And then when I come in and get my health care, they charge me again. They get double pay for everything I get. And people don't realize.
There's a lot of inequities in there. And like I said, I hope that these young people, the Iraq and Afghanistan veterans, they come together and stand together because otherwise, one day you're not going to have any clinics, you're not going to have anything. I mean, these people will do anything, especially the way they're marching right now towards socialism and communism, you know what I mean? So, yeah,
Well,
it's their responsibility to stand up and be counted.
I gave you an example. If you want to sit there for 9 days in excruciating pain
Yeah.
at the age of 80 years old, to the point where you can't think anymore, then sit there at your chair or in your car listening to us and don't do nothing. But if you want to make changes, do something. And I don't need you to drive across the country like I do. I need you to call your senator, call your representatives, and tell them, some of this stuff ain't right. You want the status? Give it to me. I'll give you the data.
Or better still,
you.
you have to get down to their office with a group.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's what you do. You get in there and you just keep on going. You have to be really it's like a religion. You got to go to church all the time. Otherwise, they have a lot of things, these senators and congressmen. You're not their priority. You know what I mean? So you got to make sure that you're in the forefront and getting the things that you need. And we've been very vigilant down here. I mean, really, really vigilant.
And we are too. I work with Save the VA, and that's the name of the group I work with. And I'm the chairman of the Veterans Committee. When we call not our congressman directly, we call the representatives like you do.
Well, you work with them, yeah.
When we call them and say, hey, I got something for you, the answer is, well, can you come to us or do you want us to come to you? And they all come down.
Wow.
They know us all personally by name. And I'm telling you, they sit down and they talk to us. When I walk in a room, it's serious. Guys, I'm telling you, when you work with them, and you each one of them have, if you were to call them right now, the guys that work for those people, they have a special place in their email for all my emails, and they answer every single one of them I send in.
And that's a gift.
Okay.
That's a
And
gift
we
that you have.
got the gift, and that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We're going to start the ball rolling in South Dakota, and everybody needs to get on board for the rest of the veterans. And if you're not a veteran, you got to love them, okay? Even if you're, you got to love them because they give you freedom. Call them and say, hey, take care of my veterans. I don't like what's going on.
Well, another thing, too, that I've really been pushing, trying to get veterans in the system, even that you don't qualify. If your name is on there, what happens when the budget comes up on the state and a federal level, it's like 2,000 versus 20,000. So that's really, really important. So even if you don't need the VA, please register as a veteran. That's very, very important.
And do it now, because when we win, and I will, when we win, and if you got a DD 214, you can use the VA, then you can go in there. And now, why do I use the VA? When you go to a hospital, who talks to you? Nobody. You sit in the waiting room, you look stupid. When I go to the VA, I look at you and say, you're a Marine?
Yeah.
Really? He says, oh, what do you want, those hammerheads? One of them
Well,
legs? What do you... Okay, the whole experience is different, and that's what the veterans need. That's as much an emotional up as anything in the world, because you're back with your guys. We're back with the people that know us. They're back with the people, even if they're a different war, it doesn't matter. We all understand each other. So there are so many reasons why you need to have the VA there for you that you don't even realize. And we're going to fix it. I'm going to make it happen. And my governor's going to make it happen. And my senators are going to make it happen. Because they're on a mission. We're going to fix it.
Those are the people that you need to be in touch with all the time.
Yes.
You got to tell them what your needs are. You got to tell them what's working, what's not working. You got to be really active with these people. You know what I mean? Like I said, you're not going to get a hold of the senator himself or the congressman or woman, but with their people, I'm on the phone all the time. And even if I see something happen good in South Dakota, I call that congressman or woman and say, I thank you for what you did. I saw that. I do that, just because it's important they understand that we're out here.
Okay, real quick, what she said, 'cause I'm lucky. First off, I'm the only person the governor hugs.
Mhm.
Okay. She don't hug anybody else. She shakes their hand, but she gives me a hug. Okay. Number two, when I'm in a room and one of my senators or representatives is there, they walk across and shake my hand and ask how I'm doing. Okay. They know, when they know who you are and your heart's pure and you're doing the right thing, and that's what we're asking you to do. That's what you need to do. That's what you've done your whole life. They should know you. They should They should know everything about you. And that's what you got to make happen. And that's what I've done. Of course, it's littler state.
Let me ask something, Tom. What is Operation VHHP?
Say again.
Operations VHHP. It's in your paperwork here. For,
Oh, that's the housing program.
for veterans?
Yes, yes. And we'll talk about that. Do I have a little time? Okay, one of the things you have to realize, the VA, if you get them working, okay, if they're doing their job, and you got the people coming in that need care, PTSD, drug and alcohol, traumatic brain, or just homeless, okay? The homeless program, there's 40,000 according to the VA. There should be more, but they say.
There's 60,000, but go ahead,
Yeah,
they can
they
call
said-
whatever, the
they said
60,000
40,000.
that I know of.
And you know how many beds they have in the VA for homeless? 400. So, okay, excuse me. They know there's a need. Okay, they realize they need that. So, but when you get the care, where do you go? You know, I come from a bad environment, and I come in to get rid of the drugs. So then you send me right back to the drugs and wonder why I come back 9 months later with the same problem. We have a program because I got a great governor and a great support team. And what we're going to do is we're going to create like a place where you build, I don't want to use tiny homes, okay, small homes for people. Use the veterans to build it, train them, educate them, all through the VA, and certify them so they can go out and do it somewhere else.
Well, that's a good point, because right here in South Jersey, we have a big problem. We have the casinos, so a lot of them are veterans. And we talk about with the Atlantic County Veteran Advisory Board, I'm the vice chairman. And it's very, very difficult to try to help them, because people don't realize the homeless usually, they're not just homeless. They have problem either with drugs, they have, problem with the law, they have problem with somewhere along, they have 3, 4, 5 problems. So you can't just treat one thing, you give them a home, and then what? You got to clean them up. You got to get them, so you can go for a job interview. It just becomes very, very complicated, just like the suicide. I mean, they're throwing money left and right, but it's a very, very difficult thing, because how do you know, when you don't? And it's tough. It's tough.
And with that, something simple that they don't do. When a veteran who's cleaned up a bit goes in for a job and he's come through drug and alcohol and been homeless for a year, comes in to get a job and he has one tooth. That's all he's got. He walks in, sits down, and says, "I want to work as a waitress here." And you look at him like, "Not in my restaurant." Yeah, because when he opens his mouth, he looks funny. Simple stuff. It's not hard. You got to fix the entire veteran that comes in that door. And if you do that, that changes the veteran that comes out the door. And they can do it. And I said it before, and I'm going to say it again. It don't cost them no money. I'm not asking for more money, because they're going to take the money I would receive if I went to other health care, whatever that might be. There are a few that got none of that, but the majority do. And if they're taking Red Cross, Blue Shield, I can afford to pay for him with that money. Okay, so this is not something we need to get money to do. It's out there, it's available. A veteran comes in and needs a home. Do you know that they pay to give a homeless veteran a place? They do in South Dakota, and they do here, but nobody applies for it. Okay? Do you know that when you can go to college and they'll pay you? Well, they also pay you to live. Okay? Did you know that? No. Okay, we're making all these things. I'm not inventing something that's not there. We're making happen what's supposed to happen, and is not happening because of the incompetent. I'm glad you got a good one, like I have McDermott at Vision 23, whose only thing is to make a lot of money. I'm going to throw something at you real quick. Denver had a great hospital. I used to go there. They said, "No, we need a new hospital." The place was elbow to elbow of course, it's all fun. You sit there and talk to the guys and the girls. They needed to build a new facility because they wanted to take care of the veterans. So they went down and built a facility in Aurora. $2.5 billion. That's a B, guys, with a B. $1 billion to build this facility. I have to go there because I have cochlear implant. So I show up at this new facility, and there's nobody in it because it's not fun. It's not a place you want to go to. The veterans aren't using it. $2.5 billion, and I just got a notice 2 months ago saying, well, because of the lack of use, we're going to go 9 to 5 on this facility. $2.5 billion the VA spent to build a facility they didn't need. Now, that 600,000, did you say, veterans?
What's that?
How many veterans did you say homeless?
60,000 that we know of.
Okay.
There's probably more, but that's a conservative figure,
All
60,000.
right, you're 60,000 veterans.
Out of the 600,000 out there, this has to be more, but
Okay.
that,
$2.5 billion. How much money I got left?
well, I know that, yeah.
So where are we spending our money and what are we doing? And that is the key issue, and that's what you, the veterans, have to get up there and say and make something happen. I got the data, I have the information. We gotta fix it. It just got it, and you can do it, not me. I'm doing my part, guys. I'm gonna get South Dakota's on the roll.
Well, there's another thing too. The World War II are gone.
Yes.
Okay, the
they're
Korean
gone.
guys are gone,
It's us.
most of them. Well, us Vietnam veterans, you know, I'm 74. How old are you?
Well, right there.
Okay, so the point is that these young people, you know, the torch needs to be passed to them. I've been doing this for 22 years, okay? So they have to represent themselves and the future like we did that come behind them. Because there will be other veterans, there'll be other wars. The war's going to go on forever. It's never going to stop. I mean, we live in a very dangerous world right now. I mean, right now, 71% of our children do not qualify for the armed forces because of obesity, because of they have problem with drugs. 71%. I mean, you talk, you know, if you stop to throw all these figures around, really listen to them, it's really scary stuff. But that's where we are.
Agree. We gotta make it happen. And you gotta do it, guys, I'm telling you. I gave you my information, I'll give it to you before I leave again. But you got to stand up, you gotta make this happen, and you gotta follow our lead. Okay, we've been fighting forever. A little bit longer than me, but of course I got the fight, I was still in the service. I was working the state. But see,
So
a
you're
key,
very,
a key that you don't have. I work for the government. Okay, I understand it's complicated. Okay, I really do understand it's complicated. I never use those terms, but everybody I work for used to say it's complicated. It's not complicated. It's easy to fix. All we have to do is break it out to what it actually is and say, let's fix it, and we can do it.
well, one of the other biggest problems is red tape. I mean, you fill out 16 pages. All it is paperwork. They spend all this money on paperwork. The mid-level management making all the money, a couple $100,000. They don't want to change anything. We need nurses. We need doctors. We need consuls. We don't need managers. Okay, they're the problem. Okay, and there's a lot of things going on that need to be changed. But
And they're all in the Beltway.
It's pretty tough.
They never saw a patient. They never talked to a veteran.
yeah,
We're going to take a little break. Let us catch a breath here. We're going to
Okay.
play this song in honor of our Vietnam veterans.
On November 8, 1965, on November 8, 1965, the 173rd Airborne Brigade on Operation Hump, War Zone D in Vietnam, were ambushed by over 1,200 VC. 48 American soldiers lost their lives. Severely wounded and risking his own life, Lawrence Joel, a medic, was the first living black man since the Spanish-American War to receive the United States Medal of Honor for saving so many lives in the midst of battle that day. Our friend Niles Harris, retired 25 years United States Army, the guy who gave Big Kenny his top hat, was one of the wounded who lived. This song is his story. Caught in the action of kill or be killed, greater love hath no man than to lay down his life for his brother.
Said goodbye to his mama as he left South Dakota to fight for the red, white, and blue. He was 19 and green with a new M16, just doing what he had to do. He was dropped in the jungle where the choppers would rumble with the smell of napalm in the air. Then the sergeant said, "Look up ahead." Like a dark evil cloud, 1,200 came down on him and 29 more. They fought for their lives, but most of them died in the 173rd Airborne. On the 8th of November, the angels were crying as they carried his brothers away. With the fire raining down and the hell all around, there were few men left standing that day. Saw the eagle fly through a clear blue sky. 1965, the 8th of November. Now he's 58 and his ponytail's gray, but the battle's still blazing his head. He limps when he walks, but he's strong when he talks about the shrapnel that left in his leg. He puts on a gray suit over his airborne tattoo, and he ties it on one time a year, and remembers the fallen as he orders a tall one and swallows it down with his tears. On the 8th of November, the angels were crying as they carried his brothers away. With the fire raining down and the hell all around, there were few men left standing that day. Saw the eagle fly through a clear blue sky. 1965, the 8th of November. Saw the eagle fly through a clear blue sky. 1965. On the 8th of November, the angels were crying as they carried his brothers away. With the fire raining down and the hell all around, there were few men left standing that day. On the 8th of November, the angels were crying as they carried his brothers away. With the fire raining down and the hell all around, there were few men left standing that day. Saw the eagle fly through a clear blue sky. 1965, the 8th of November. The 8th of November. 8th of November. Said goodbye to his mama as he left South Dakota to fight for the red, white, and blue. He was 19 and green with a new M16, just doing what he had to do.
And welcome back to Veterans Matter live stream broadcast with my guest Marco Polo Smigliani, United States Marine Corps veteran, and Don Ackerman, a United States Army veteran, both Vietnam veterans. And we're sitting here talking about the plight of our veterans. We know what we've had over the years here in New Jersey, and we're hearing about the plight out there in South Dakota. And I imagine if we had a representative veteran who was up on every state in this union, we could probably be such a diverse problem. One of the things that I ran into over the years, because I was very involved with the issues surrounding our Blue Water Navy veterans. In 1991, they formed the Agent Orange Act. In 2001, inexplicably, our Congress took the Blue Water Navy veterans off of the rolls of for Agent Orange. And I guess that the reason for that, because I've never gotten an answer from anyone, I guess it was because the exposure wasn't as great as being in country, so it took longer for them to start showing the cancers and the issues. And then once they started having them, you go from 2001 to about 2020, over 19, 20 years to finally get coverage. It was really sad. I had a gentleman from a United States Navy veteran on my show. He was in his sixth different cancer attributed to Agent Orange, and he succumbed to the cancer a couple of years ago, right on New Year's Eve. I believe it was 2000. And John Burry was his name, and very active. And today, they finally do have coverage. But what was interesting was that 2 years before they got coverage, I was sitting at a Veterans Day breakfast at Mainland Regional High School, and Congressman Labiondo was there. And I said to him, Congressman, I don't understand what's going on. It's already passed the House. It's passed the Senate. Why is this taking so long? And he turned to me and he said, well, Mike, he says, the problem is it's sitting there, but we can't get our veterans groups to prioritize it. No. The DAV fighting with this group, the Legion and the VFW fighting, they couldn't come up with a...
just because a congressman or a senator sponsors a bill, that bill is submitted. Once that bill goes in there, if they don't act on it, that's it. That's not till the next year.
And that's what happened.
So they can come and say, well, I sponsor bill A, B, C, boom, boom, boom. Yeah, well, what happened to it? If the Senate, the House of Representatives rather, and the Senate and the President doesn't sign it, it's not a law. So, it's just an exercise of futility.
Right, and it's sad when you think that the veteran suffers because our leadership.
Well, like I said, we're the veteran community. Unfortunately, they're too quiet. They just went out with their lives. They don't want to hear any of this stuff, but they don't realize, the effect this has not just on us, the Vietnam veterans, or had on the World War II, the Korean. I mean, I can't tell you the World War II veterans. They used to cry on my lap how much they benefited by the work that we did, because they have PTSD. They didn't call it that. They call it shell shock. Finally, when they were like in the 70s and 80s, they're getting some disability and stuff. So, and again, the young people have to, not just the young people, anybody that's a veteran, they should somehow, participate to make it better for all of us and for the people that are behind us. Because don't forget, we're done. I mean, the Vietnam veteran community has only hit about 750,000 left. What happens when we finish? Who's going to pick up the mantle? I mean, these Iraq, Afghanistani young people, they're all on the computer. They got their own thing. But I don't see them, they don't join the Vietnam.
Well, I've had Iraq War veterans, Operation Enduring Freedom veterans
Yep.
sitting here, and none of them belong to veterans organizations. And I don't think, Vietnam veterans, it took how many years for you guys to get involved with your veterans organizations?
Well,
Special
Yeah,
circumstances.
to be fair to these young people, there were, like I said, almost 3 million of us in country, okay, from 61 to 75 to 73. But anyway, but there were almost 11 million that were Vietnam era.
Right.
So that's a big group. You're talking about almost 12 million people that actually either served at that time or, were involved in a war. So that's a much bigger number. I think if you have 7-8 million that served from Iraq to Afghanistan right now is a lot. I mean, it's not the same thing. They don't have the numbers, what I mean? It just, they're out there, they went out with their lives. And, there's a lot of things going on that they're being taken care of a lot better than we were, again, because of us. And even people like in New York, they built them homes, they do this, and I'm happy for them. But you can't just look for today. You got to look ahead 10, 15 years.
And until our young veterans start having problems, physical
and they will,
problems,
believe me, they will have problems.
Then they'll
like Don said, just
then
like
they'll
we
get
did.
involved.
Yeah.
Until then,
Yeah, it's their
be real
responsibility because
thankful.
nobody's going to do it for them. I'm telling you right now. So,
The road to get a disability is unbelievable. Unbelievable. And I like to use me because that's the best way to do it because it's a fact. And when I come back, I mentioned that I got broke. Well, what happened was my eardrum exploded and it fixed itself, but it just kept growing. And they called it cholestoma tumor. So they went in and took it out. And I couldn't hear anymore. So 8 years later, now that's documented, this lieutenant took that out. 8 years later, and so my career just did one of these. Okay, I was the fastest growing rank-wise individual in my field. Okay, 15 months to E5. Okay, anyway, and none of that of combat, whatever. Just ended. Anyhow, 4 years later, a doctor, an army doctor in Germany says, I think I can fix this. Let me fix it. Documented my records. He went in and said, butcher job from hell. I can't fix you. I'm not even going to cut on you. I mean, they took me in, took me out, they're done. So, I got all my hearing aids through the military, etc. Finished my career, working as a civilian. And then it's time for me to decide I need to have a disability. And they said, we don't see anything here that says it was service connected. I said, hold it. Can you read this? I had to go through 3 steps of disapproved, disapproved, disapproved. That's at tens of thousands of people. Are you listening, guys? Down there in Washington, D.C., making all the big money, okay? That all they do is disapprove it, disapprove it, disapprove it. And then I had to go to a circuit judge outside the VA. That was the final step. And I walked in with all my stuff. And the first thing he did is look at me and said, where's your lawyer?
Yeah.
And I just said, if I need a lawyer, I don't need to be here.
Yeah.
Showed him my records. He said, 2 days later, approved. And then I got my disability.
Yeah, right now they're backed up like about 400,000 or 500,000 people. So what
Disapproved.
they've done is they hired all of these people that are unqualified.
Yes.
And here it takes months to submit all the evidence. Then they go over it arbitrarily and they say no. There's another 3-6 months. But it's very, very, very
It's a job.
really very frustrating.
security.
Yeah.
You just keep disapproving. That means every veteran they can disapprove them 3 times.
Yeah.
So that means 3 times the job security for those guys. So they all need to go away. And that's what I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
If you got an ID card, if you got a DD-214, use the VA. And they can decide what you need. And they should get everything. And that's what I mentioned before. You should get glasses. You should get teeth. You should get anything you need.
In the best world, that's the way it should work. But unfortunately and sadly, it doesn't work like that. See, that's the problem.
I'm going to make it
Yeah.
happen.
Well, like I said, you are very fortunate because of your geography and the small population. So you have direct. I mean, just to have a direct contact with the governor, I can't explain what that means, because on a state level, that means he's the one who's in charge. Then you have on a federal. I mean, when you have the people like that are backing you, things happen.
The Secretary of the VA 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
3 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago came to South Dakota because Mike Brown said, you will come to South Dakota and look at this place that they're trying to close. And he came. On statewide TV, he said, all the data the VA's using to close these facilities is false. That is the secretary sitting in the job, VA. He said that. That data is false. He said that in front of, I looked at, like, you gotta be kidding me.
Well, another thing, people don't realize there's over 400,000 people that work for the VA. It's the second largest employer after the Department of Defense. There's a lot of dead wood in there, believe me. They're making big money. They're living.
Hey, Don, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
I'm just going to change the subject because things are starting to come back to. Didn't you have a son that served in
Sure
in
did.
Afghanistan, correct?
In Afghanistan, and it's a tragic story. He was a linguist, spoke Russian, Chinese, many of the Arabic derelicts, and he was on the initial surge. He was also in Bosnia when they went in there. Anyway, he decided to get out and make big money, so he went to work for Blackwater. And so they had a different kind of job. So he had a contract guy and his best buddy, who was an army soldier, and the other best buddy was Arabic. Well, the Arabic best buddy went in the dining facility and jihaded and killed his other best buddy. He's not been the same since.
He went about 4 or 5 tours, correct?
Yes. And he's not the same. Okay. And one day he's going to need help. Okay. And they're not helping him. He's going to need help. And
It's the Vietnam veteran community. I mean, how many fell by the wayside by the thousands.
Yeah.
So many died, never received one penny from the government for Agent Orange. Now we have, I think, 16 or 17 presumptive diseases. Well, the majority are gone. What the hell good is it? I mean, it's good for those of us that are left that are getting sick, unfortunately, but
well, look at all of it. And this is what I'm saying. Open the VA to every veteran. Have you ever heard of McClellan, Alabama?
what?
McClellan, Alabama.
I've
That
heard
was
of
a
it.
chemical center for the United States Army.
Yeah.
Okay? If you go there today, I had to do 2 tours there. If you go there today, there's not a community. It was one of the largest communities in Alabama. But that is where all the chemicals were mixed and done. And it got in the drinking water. And they know it got in the drinking water. Okay? They're not going to admit it to anybody. And they won't allow all those. And that was the female training center when they were whacked.
Yeah, we have the same thing in Camp Lejeune. They just
I just
start,
read
they
about
just
it.
started recognizing a couple of
Right.
years back. I mean, thousands were affected, hundreds of thousands actually. You know what I mean? But
How about just fix our guys? Just take care of them. Did you ever get to stir the pot in Vietnam?
no, you clean it, the latrine?
Yeah.
I was fortunate. I was a machine gunner, so they needed me.
That's one. And you got the other pots from Saudi. All the pots they had and stuff. Yeah, we call them pot stirrers anyway. There's diseases we picked up because of where we were. And different places. And it's just because you go do your job. If you look at any other profession, truck driver, okay, that's your profession. And all of a sudden you can't drive truck anymore because of something that happened at work. What do? They pay you to go home. And they take care of you. They take care of the bill. Doesn't matter. Well, it's no different, okay? It is really no different than any great organization. Granted, they go out and they get an insurance company to take care of them. We got one. It's called the United States of America.
Well, there are a lot of inequities out there, and we've been fighting for many, many years. We made some progress, like I said, but and it's the sad part about this. It's not about money, because the budget is there. The money is just incredible. The hundreds of billions of dollars are spending for the veterans, but a lot of it is wasted. Like I said, you got 400,000 people. That work for the VA, and there's a lot of good people too. I mean, I'm not saying that they're all bad. It's just.
I have found in my time,
Yeah.
anybody who touches a veteran, okay, or is one-on-one when you talk to them, is extraordinary. They're great people. They do wonderful work, and they're dedicated to the core. From the person when you walk in and talks to you when you walk in, all the way up to the doctor that says bend over. They are the greatest people. But you get above that, and they're not connected. They don't care. Well, some do, but the number is so small. You know, there's something that floats when you put it in water. There's a saying we have. Okay. And they go to the top, and that's what you got on top, in my opinion, and my expectation. I am fortunate enough to say that I took part in getting 2 directors fired, and I'm really proud of that.
Yeah, we went through all of that. We had so many directors from Wilmington that for years and years and years, even when Frank, I worked with Frank for 24 years as a liaison, and it was really sad. Like I said, the man that changed it all was Dr. Edelman, and I keep on going over because I salute the guy. I just talked to him. I told him, I said, you might not realize what you accomplished. I says, but thousands and thousands of veterans in all 3 of these clinics, it's because of you. So you affected all their lives and their children and their families. You'll never get anybody. So when they open a new clinic, I'm inviting him to be here.
Absolutely.
But like I said, you're lucky. I wish I could, not because of governor. I don't care. Governor, I don't care about that. But people that could actually help you.
My governor's prettier than yours.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, people that can make things happen. Yeah.
Amazing. It really is, for the lay person, the citizen that doesn't realize the plight of the veteran. And, you'd like to believe that everybody was in your corner. But one of the things we learned back when we did the petition drive to get better health care here for veterans in South Jersey, we set up at a big Bay Fest, just a huge, and we actually had people that were against veterans getting care, and those people are out there. It's amazing.
Veterans get everything. Like, they got enough. Those veterans have enough. We don't need to give them any more. They have everything that we don't have. And that's a lie, but that's what they say.
Yep.
Why should we be taking care of the veterans? And of course, my question to them is, how well do you enjoy your freedom? Okay? How well do they sacrifice for you so you can be who you are?
Amen.
So why take care of those veterans? Because they deserve it.
They don't understand. They will never understand. Thank you for having me. I have to go right now. It's 4:30, right?
We're
So I got to
gonna
go.
wrap up soon.
Don,
Marco,
thank
you
for
have,
service to our
if
nation.
you have a final word you would like to say to our people?
Well, I'm the most optimistic person in the world, so I'm always hoping for the better. All I ask is that the veterans get together and reach out to different people like Don's doing in his state. And believe me, we've seen a difference here. You'll see a difference over there. And when I went to Washington, I remember they put it in my head over and says, you're going to forget 90% you learned here. But remember one thing, if you get a group of citizens and you go to your congressman or your mayor's office or your senator, they're going to listen because you're voters. So that's what it's all about. You got to, you can't just talk. You got to participate. Thank you, and God bless you, and God bless America, the greatest nation ever put on the face of this earth.
Amen.
Take care.
Thank you,
God
Marco.
bless. Thank you for having me.
It's Marco Polo Smigliani, United States Marine Corps and Vietnam veteran. Thankful for Marco being able to join us here this afternoon as we talk about, it's funny, here we are on the East Coast, New Jersey with Philadelphia and New York surrounding us, and Wilmington and Delaware. And things seem to be on the upswing here, taking care of our veterans. I know it's been quite a fight. And when I hear, Don, that they're actually talking about closing facilities out there, it's just horrible.
Well, and you need to check the closure list because you might be losing some. And some of the inequities are, I drove by your facility down there, VA. In places, if you're on the south side of the street, you can't go across the street, use that VA. Because they do the line on this side.
Right.
And those facilities are easy to close. I can only go back to this is what's going to happen to all of you out there if you think you got good VA stuff. When they come in my battle, it's the only thing I can relate to, the battle I fought, and we won, and we're doing again. We have a huge Native American population, okay? And that's the greatest socialist establishment we have in the United States. And it's not working and they need help. Okay? And that's just a fact. It's just the way it is. We created it. They need health care. And because they joined my battle, and that was politically hard for the leadership in Washington, D.C., they made all these great promises to these people. Said, look, we'll give you an MRI once a week out here. All you have to do is show up, get your MRI. We'll put in this facility. We'll put in that facility. We'll do all these things for you. When the battle was over, they all kind of disappeared. Snap of the finger, they're gone. Now they have no facilities. None. And they used to love to come to our facility. I'm going to get in trouble for this, but I'm going to tell you why. On the reservation, you don't need a license plate. And you don't need a driver's license. Okay? It's not required. Okay? So, they would come to our place. There's a way you can sneak into Hot Springs and use our facility because nobody bothered them, because our police knew. They were nice. They didn't bother them. They used our facility. Because they could get there, they could get their health care, and they could go home and not get in trouble. And everybody just kind of turned a blind eye and let them have their health care. So now, with the reduction in services, they have nowhere to go. They have no facility to go to because they can't get in there. They won't let them in. You only get to get in there, very few of us, based on the fact you're already established in the rotational thing. If you're new and you want to get there, forget it. You're not going to get any health care.
That's crazy.
But it's insane. And we have a facility. When you come out, Mike, to enjoy Sturgis with me next time, I will take you through that facility. It's one of the most beautiful facilities in the world. And it's a funny thing. That facility was created at a time when if you went to a sanitarium, Civil War, when you went to the sanitarium, the most likely return you were going to get is out the backside in a box. You went in there, laid down, nurses wiped your forehead every once in a while, put water in you, shoved food down your throat, then you died and they buried you. This facility was created so you come out the other side happy. So we have ghosts, I've seen them, and they're happy ghosts. They're racing their wooden-wheeled chairs up and down the place. But it's a happy facility. It's a place where people get taken care of. And they're going to close it. Well, they want to. We're going to let them do it. But, I mean, we need to wake up and take care of our people. We got to do that. Just absolutely have to. My son, and all the other people that I know that need health care. And I told you, there's no cost. There is no cost, America. It's free. Because the government's going to pay for it. And the health care is going to pay for it. And all the agencies are going to pay for it.
Well, when you talk to the governor and your reps out there about what's going on with the those on the reservation, what are they saying? I mean,
Okay. Like I said before, they have a huge file, each one of them with my name on it, and they got all those things in there. They fight, they try, and I just told you, took them 2 years, but they took down a director of one of the biggest facilities in the Midwest and fired her and put her on the road. Okay? They can't do it. Because you're a governor, you can't do that. Because you're a senator, you can't do that. It's not an easy thing to do.
right.
That's not their job. But when you have them behind you, you can make things happen because they talk and they control the money. Okay? It has to go through Congress. They control the money. The governor has committed to us to create a village for our veterans. You know, we have the only, in this country, veterans town officially, and that's Hot Springs, South Dakota. And the governor of South Dakota declared in writing that that is the veterans town, and there's a bill to try to make it for the whole country. And we have more veterans than anywhere else. So it's a fight, Mike. It's a fight.
It is, and you know, we need to get our younger veterans involved in this fight because, like Marco was saying, someone's going to have to pick up the mantle. I mean, our Vietnam veterans are coming of age, and number one, I really thank you, Don, for taking the time to travel here. You know, extra few hundred miles you put on your bike to join us. I'm thrilled. It was great to hear from you. I didn't know how much you were involved listening to our show out there, but one of the things you could tell your friends out there, the other veterans and the people who care, is that if they you get my email, it tells you how to get on. They want us. This show will be. Anybody could tune into this at any time. It'll be on the link. And I'm going to give you the last word here today. You know what, Don? If you had the opportunity to be at a high school commencement, what would you say to these young high school students getting ready to graduate to go into the world about the military in general?
I've done that, by the way. And my normal speech is pretty simple. The first thing I tell them is, if you have a veteran in the family, go out there and sit down and sit beside him and say, talk to me. Tell me what it was like. Tell me what you did. Because that's history, and it goes away. I mean, that's important to a kid. And I'm going to look at you right in the eye and say, how much have you told your children? And you know the answer to that. I don't have to say any more, because we don't tell the stories. You need to sit down and get that story from the grandfather or from the father or from the uncle and say, what was it like? The other one is the pride in knowing that you gave so others could have. Your life has value because you stepped forward and you did something that other people are not capable of doing or willing to do. This country, the red, white, and blue, is there because of you. Nobody else, of you. And we talked earlier about the era. Well, I need to say something, and that is, yeah, I did 2 tours, and yeah, I was in the height of battle. But those guys suffered, and girls, suffered the same indignation, the same tomatoes, the same rotten eggs, the same bad words as I did during our time in the country. And that's one of the biggest things I fought for the Gulf War guys when they come home. Trust me, I rode that first motorcycle in that parade that got that that first veteran died, or the first
Right.
service member died, I was lead bike. Okay, nobody got in front of me. It was not a good thing for them to do. But that means something. And we have to make that happen if you're brave enough, if you care enough, and if you want enough. Do something worthwhile. Do something worthy of greatness. Serve your country.
Thanks, Don. I appreciate that. We're going to wrap things up here. One of the things we always said, if you love your freedom, thank a vet.